Recently, I soloed Veteran City of Ash 2 along with Veteran Dragonstar Arena the first stage, and people are asking me, Deltia, how do you do it? And I want to share with you the top 10 tricks for solo play and how you can take your skill to the next level. Welcome back, gang. This is Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com. You're going to want to watch this video if you're someone who struggles playing solo and looks to improve their skill, as I'm someone who's been playing Elder Scrolls Online since beta. And no, I'm not the best player, but I've learned a lot along the way, and I want to share with you these tips and tricks to save you time and frustration that I had to go through. So if you want to improve your solo play, you want to learn some tips and tricks, this is going to be the video for you. Timestamps are below if you wish to skip ahead, and please think about hitting that like, subscribe, and turning those alerts on so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching. Tip number 10, and that's to dodge roll. Dodge roll a little bit more than what you have been, especially for magic users. Why this is relevant as of the making of this video is Champion Point System 2.0 gave a boost to base stats, health, magic, and stamina. This is very relevant for magic users who previously could maybe do 1-2 dodge rolls and a break free and be completely out of stamina. Now you'll have a base stat pool, which I usually get around 10 to 12,000 max stamina on my characters. Usually roughly on magic, about 5 to 4,000 is what it cost me to break free of a CC. So you're always going to want to leave about 5,000 stamina in the tank. Anything extra beyond that, feel free to block sprint, but especially dodge roll. Dodge roll is going to allow you to avoid attacks for roughly 1 second. Anything that can be dodged, multiple, not just one attack. Furthermore, dodge is going to have no collision detection, so you'll often see me use this to jump through, to move through bosses or multiple mobs. This is how you get through a lot of them. Another thing I tell players, and I highly recommend doing this, is turning off your double tap to dodge roll. A lot of new players will leave this on by default in the gameplay settings. You're going to encounter a boss or a PvP fight or something that bugs you and you're not really prepared for it, and you're going to double tap that, accidentally dodging and blowing through your stamina when you don't want to. What's helped me use this effectively countless times is turning that double tap off and rebinding the key to something specific so I control when I want to dodge. It's going to allow me to start the fight with the dodge so I can get off to a good start. It's going to allow me to learn the mechanics of bosses and or PvP fights. And also on magic builds, on stamina builds, PvE and PvP, if you have a huge stamina pool and you have 5,000 left in the tank to do a break free so you don't die, think about dodge rolling here and there. It's going to save you a lot of time and energy trying to heal, put a shield up, work through it, do a buff, and so on, where you could just do a 1 second dodge, dip into your stamina pool, survive, and push the fight forward. Tip number 9, and that is massive area damage AoE. Look, when you're playing solo, your goal is not to get the highest DPS. This is not a parse dummy. Your goal is to stack boss on top of multiple adds and drop the house. The best way I've found to do this is to park the melee characters on top of the range, because melee is always going to come towards you in a solo instance, whereas range will sit parked. So you either back up to make the range casters move forward, parking it on the boss, or you move forward with the melee, parking everything on top of each other, dropping the house. You want to clear everything at once. It sounds simple, but you need to practice it. Some skills that you can use regardless of what class. Magic users, Undaunted skill line, Mystic Orbs. It's fantastic AoE, single target, and or group. You pick up another skill from the Destruction Staff, Elemental Blockader, Unstable Wall. That will also pair very well, and now you have 2 heavy hitting damage over time effects ticking while you're single targeting away the boss. Stamina users, you can do the same thing with the bow, Endless Hail, putting a big old radius down and combining it with the assault skill, Razor Caltrops. 2 AoE stam dots, absolutely nuking everything. This way, when you park everything on top of the boss, you're going to have to peel away to heal yourself, to rebuff, to survive. With those heavy hitter AoE damage over time effects, it'll dwindle that boss's health down, along with killing the adds off, making clearing this incredibly simple. Instead of just single target parsing out the boss, it's not the way to go. Heavy AoE. Tip number 8, and that's buffs, pre, during, and post-fight. You want to retrain your brain to constantly buff before getting in a fight, during, and after, so it becomes a habit, something that I struggle with, getting tunnel vision. Before you start a fight, it's obvious to buff. Nightblade is a good example of this. It has a skill called Grim Focus, which is a very long buff regardless of the morphs you take. So before launching into combat, you obviously want to get up this, anything else that does not require a target. So when you start the engagement, you're not using 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds to get your buffs up and going. During the fight, what happens a lot of times, what I struggle with is, do I continue just to fight and get tunnel vision, or do I stop, take a deep breath, go back to my back bar, reapply my buffs, and engage again? This is very applicable to PvP. How I know if I'm tunneling, meaning not replying my buffs appropriately, is if I'm using my main spammable 3 or more times, typically. So if I'm using Force Pulse, Whirling Blades, Biting Jabs, whatever you have, if I catch myself doing that repeatedly, it's probably not appropriate. I need to go back, constantly buff, constantly heal, shield, and get that up. In the long run, it will 1, save your life, and 2, it will outweigh the damage you're doing by just clicking one button over and over. Trust me, I'm not good at this. Another thing you want to do, as soon as a fight's over, especially in PvP, reapply your buffs. You never know when the next engagement is right around the corner, so do better than me. Don't tunnel, pre, during, post. Buff, it's very important. Tip number 7, that's ultimate selection. I cannot stress enough how important this is. It's logical if you have 2 bar spots to put the front your main spammable that gives you an offensive bonus. Constantly you'll see folks using Flawless Dawnbreaker for stamina or Mage's Guild Shooting Star because just putting it on your bar has a benefit. But if you want to try hardcore content as a solo player, you may need a backup. Also, if you want a PvP and you're getting a lot of pressure, think about a defensive ultimate. Stamina builds have a great option and something that I've used constantly, ranted and raved about this ability. That's the dual wield ultimate called Rend. This gives you an insane heal, along with decent damage over time for 16 seconds. This is how I was able to beat Veteran City of Ash 2 completely solo on my Stamina Nightblade. Is this optimal for damage, DPS, parsing? No, but you don't have a healer. You don't have a tank. It's all down to you solo. And I'd highly recommend for the average player to have a panic button. Oh crap, I don't know what to do. I'm out of resources. I don't have a potion, but I got my ultimate. Magic users can look to the restoration staff and or their class for ultimate options. But if you're starting out, you're struggling dying, you want to learn the content, offensive and a defensive ultimate, it'll change your life. Tip number 6, which is keybinds, something I've alluded to, and I'm going to show you this video how I'm using my mouse in my light attack weaving video guide. I think it's very, very important if you're playing on PC to have a strategy for how you click the keys. You need to rebind your weapon swap, your dodge roll, and most importantly, the interrupt key. You need to have your left hand used for movement while your right hand is freed up. Abilities, blocking, attacking. You don't have to have a Razer Naga or a fancy mouse to do this. In fact, you can rebind keys that are in range of your index finger. So what I do is I rebind the dodge roll to V, I rebind interrupt to C, and I rebind weapon swap to my middle mouse. That way my finger doesn't have to stretch. I don't have to stop moving when I'm getting pressured, when I'm panicking, when I need to CC break. I know exactly where to go, what to click. That way you can strafe easily, you can break free when you need to on demand, and it's not a clunky 2-button system. This is what really set me back on consoles, not being able to have a reliable CC break free button and bar swap, taking my hand off of an area of the controller, which I did not like. So learn from me. Make it accessible for you so your fingers don't have to go all the way over to the tilde key or all the way over to 7 or 8 on your keyboard. It's not effective, it's not efficient. Spend time rebinding it, and guess what? You're gonna struggle at first. That's okay. Stick with it, make it work for you. This will have a massive improvement in your performance. Tip number 5, and that's a simple one, alchemy, medicinal use you get by leveling your alchemy, putting 3 points in this, allowing potions effects to last 30% longer. Why this is relevant is because potion cooldown is 45 seconds. With this passive, you can get full 100% uptime, recovery, weapon critical, spell critical, weapon damage, spell damage, whatever the effect is that you're trying to get, you're going to be able to get it a full duration of a potion, allowing you to have essentially 100% uptime on key important buffs. So this is fundamental to your character's progression and squeezing every ounce of performance out of your character, taking the time to level that to 50, and it's quite simple now. Another thing that I do, regardless of the recovery bonuses and everything else, I constantly ask myself after I die, did I, 1, use a potion? Is my potion off cooldown? And 2, did I use an ultimate? If I die in PvP and PvE and I didn't use a potion, I'm wrong. Always think about the opportunity for using that potion right before you die and or on cooldown to keep 100% uptime. You can also get this benefit just using junk pots that you collect throughout leveling process. No, it's not going to be as effective as the ones you buy or you craft at high end, but think about using them on cooldown. It's going to make a world of difference in your recovery and your survivability. Take the time to level it up in the crafting, and then also remove those skill points if you don't plan on using alchemy, so you just have 3 in medicinal use. It makes a world of difference at endgame when you're trying to squeak out every ounce of performance. Have you ever heard of the term, keep it simple, stupid? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do with our bar setup, and I'm going to show you some footage of my magic sork, and this is very, very relevant. On my front damage bar, I have 3 abilities that I don't even use. Twilight, which is slotted, another one, Bound Aegis for max magic, and Camel Hunter, another one that I can get minor berserk, more damage attacking from flanking. Why I do this is because it's very, very effective, so I don't have to muscle memory think about 25 cooldowns and buffs and debuffs and everything else. When I'm playing solo and I'm taking all this pressure, I gotta focus on surviving, bashing the healers, dodge rolling when I have excessive stamina, and I don't have time to think about all these complex buffs and rotations. Is this always optimal for DPS? No, but it's better if I can keep it very, very simple and just have 1, maybe 2 buffs, 1, maybe 2 damage over time effects that I apply in my back bar, a shield, a simple heal, and then a very, very simple rotation. That way I can execute it. I can pull it off. You can have all of the best rotations and what everyone else uses at endgame and tells you what you have to have. But if you can't pull it off, you're dying, you're struggling, you're not hitting your numbers, pull it back. Start with something very, very simple. Then add 1 damage over time effect later as you get the hang of it. Add another buff. Add another damage over time effect. And then when you start doing some of the harder group content in the game, it'll be a world of difference. Remember, if you're powerful solo, imagine what you can do in a group. It starts there. If you can do really crazy, awesome, powerful things solo, you're going to be a massive benefit to your team, because now you're used to not relying on a healer, not relying on a tank for survivability. You know how to line of sight, you know how to dodge, you know how to survive, and you know how to keep a very, very simple buff rotation. It makes a world of difference when you're playing solo, and it's all down to you. Tip number 3. And that is double bar your main survivability skill, but also keep your bar consistent along all the characters. Let me explain. So when I'm coaching folks that are struggling solo or surviving in a group, they have a very complex bar, which I've already talked about. The number one key that I do to get them over the hurdle is double bar their main survivability skill in both slots on both their bars. Yes, you're going to take up 2 slots. Yes, you have 2 bars and you can bar swap. But what happens is a lot of people struggle because they get flustered, they get concerned, they're not bar swapping, they fat finger a key and they die. What really helps you out when you're learning this process and trying to be a lot better solo player is to take 1 damage over time effect, take 1 buff off your bar. Yes, it'll lower your damage, but you put, let's say, Harness Magicka or Vigor or Breath of Life or whatever that ability you use to heal and survive and sustain yourself, put that in the exact same spot on both bars. It will make a world of difference. So you have a panic button. No matter what bar you're on, you're not thinking, do I have to bar swap? Do I have to go back? Nope, it's the 5 key. It's the 5 key. It's the 5 key, or whatever it may be for you. Speaking of the 5 key, if you watch pretty much all my builds, all my videos, you'll notice the Harness Magic skill when I'm playing PvP is always in the 3 key in my back bar. You'll notice on Stam builds, Vigor is always in the 5 key in my back bar. Why do I do that? I have 18 characters. I play a ton of different builds. I don't have enough muscle memory and wherewithal to sit there and rebind and change those up per character. So when I know intuitively, I get on my magic builds, I know back bar 3. Harness Magicka, I'm going to save my life. I don't have to fuss with, oh, I'm on my Necro today, or I'm on my Stam Warden. Nope. I know this type of character, it's going to be the 3 key. So you can take it a step further by starting out, putting that survivability key consistently across all characters. For me, it always made sense in the last slot on my bar, because that's how I always played other old school MMOs. That last slot on my bar was always my survivability key. So 5, or if consoles, whatever you want to put it as. Put it all consistently across every single character you have. Trust me, muscle memory matters. It will make a world of difference. Tip number 2, and that's user interface. And from these previous videos, what I'm showing is you can change the circles that are bad from the standard color, which is very dim and not exactly apparent, to something that sticks out more based on what you see visually. So what I typically do is I go into the settings, I go into gameplay, and you can change it here on every single character. So I change it to green, sticks out a little bit better than the standard, and then something like pinkish purple really resonates with me. Trust me, this seems very obvious and simple, but it makes a massive difference in where your character stands and your overall performance, because especially when the default color is on the very edge, you can't tell very easily. Making it that big, huge, bright purple will really stick out and allow you to avoid stuff, unlike what I just did there. Take user interface a step further, and that is turning on your ability attribute bars on at all times, but also number and percentages of your resource pool and the ultimate number on. The purpose of this is very simple. You want to be able to play instinctively. And when you have the numbers and or percentages on, you can kind of get some math and do some mental timers on how long it's going to take you to get ultimate, but also how much stamina you have left to break free and dodge. If you see the bar, it's very deceptive on how much is left in the tank. So 5,000 or more I can break free typically. So I'm looking at that bar, and it allows me to play instinctively. Instead of thinking, oh, well, maybe it's at 4,000, maybe it's at 6,000, I really don't know. A quick glance, I can tell, okay, I can't block, sprint, or do anything else because I'm going to run on stamina if I get CC'd and I'm dead. You want to set up your user interface and your gameplay to allow you to play instinctively instead of thinking. Next up, we have healing. Is the last tip. Number 1, duh, Deltia, we know we need to heal in solo instances, but I want you to take it a step further. So when I talk about healing, there's 2 obvious choices depending on your playstyle. 1 is Resolving Vigor or Echoing Vigor, the Alliance War skill. That's common for stamina users. This is nothing new. 2 is Harness Magicka and using that as well, which is for magic users in light armor. So what's the point I'm trying to get to here? The point I'm trying to get to you is this. If you can find abilities and ultimates that do damage and heal at the same time, you're going to want to use those because it's going to allow you to continue to put pressure, ramp up the damage, and not have to heal. Couple examples for this for stamina users is Bloodthirst, a main spammable that heals you for the damage done in the final attack, and Rend, something I've already talked about, which gives you a long 16-second bleed and incredible heal over time. Almost every magic class has something in their class kit that allows them to do damage and heal. Here's two examples. Swallow Soul on the left is for Magic Nightblade. It's your main spammable that heals like a truck. You're going to want to use it. And Puncturing Sweeps for the Magplar, Magic Templar, also your main spammable that heals you for a lot. So the purpose is this. You're going to look inside your class kit if there's something optimal to use that allows you to do a main spammable or maybe crit surge for a sorcerer that allows you to do crit and get healing. That way you don't have to take your foot off the gas. You can put it down, throttle down the damage. The more you do, the more you heal yourself, because it's so important. Every single class has something you can pick up and do, but I'm telling you, put that on your bar, even if it's a little DPS. If you're playing solo, you want to push bleeding edge content and do things people think are impossible, you're gonna need to think outside the box. And this tip will get you that next level. Well, gang, that is a video. I put a lot of time, energy into this video, and I hope you got a lot out of it. I really enjoy playing solo, not because I'm antisocial, but because I want to push my builds to the next level, and this really allows me to do it. Can I survive? Can I fight outnumbered? Can I have resource sustain? Can I think on my feet and not rely on a tank, a healer, or someone else to bail me out? So, as you get better solo, you will get better in the group. So think about getting out of your comfort zone, getting these tips, and hey, if you got some others to share, please put them in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it.